So we already talked about. Let's see if everything is set up correctly. Okay, techniques in sports psychology. But before that, we already have the impact and some of the things in motivation and team building. We saw in the first video about motivation and team building. So some sports psychologists or some sports psychology players who adopt sports psychology work with professional athletes and coaches to improve performance by increasing their motivation. Well, motivation, there is two types. There is the internal and the external motivation. The internal motivation obviously happens when you love the game, when you have a feeling for the game, and you simply want to play because you are enjoying the journey, not waiting for that outcome to happen no matter what happens. You're not, feeling pressured or something about the outcome. So we already talked about motivation and team building, and there is for the team building and motivation two types of motivations. There is the internal one and the external one. The internal one usually happens when you love the game, as we stated already, and the external one when you are, pursuing trophies, money, wealth, titles, etc., etc. That could happen if you already have the internal one, but if you only pursuing the external one, sometimes you can be burned out. And one example is, I would definitely state Magnus Carlsen. He already have the internal one, but at this point he doesn't really care anymore about winning the world championship cycle. He just wanna play some the girls, wanna enjoy his life instead of continuing playing chess. So he got burned out, and the burnout effect is very important in sports psychology, where players or people simply in their jobs are suffering. They just wanna quit. They just wanna try something new because they think they can't continue doing their stuff anymore. So sports psychologist helps players and helps people deny and continue, their jobs and their beloved sport and staying away from the burnout effect. We're gonna type if you want to see what is exactly the burnout effect. Now, yes, here it is, a major subject in sports psychology. I didn't even saw that. The study of motivation looks at both extrinsic and intrinsic motivators, external and internal. They're just typed another name. They just wanted to have to give them a different name. So extrinsic motivators are external rewards such as trophy, money, medals, or social recognition. And intrinsic motivators, and for example, the social recognition sometimes can boost the ego of a player. That can really be a detrimental factor that can destroy him. So you must already know that you are good, but there's other people that are much better than you. So we must lower, not the expectations, but lower the ego that you have. Respect others, respect other players, but at the same time know that you can be better, that you can beat them all if you have what it takes to beat them all, with work, with studies, etc., etc. Intrinsic motivators are arising from within, such as personal desire to win, or the sense of pride that you did something very good that comes from performing a skill or just doing the job that should be done. Team building is also an important topic in this field. Sports psychologists might simply work with coaches, their team, captains, etc., to make them feel that they have another job to do rather than just training them, strategically. They must train them physically, mentally, and psychologically. Anxiety. Anxiety usually happens for people who lack, I would say, the intrinsic motivation and lack confidence in their full potential. And there is a saying which is, people are afraid of your full potential while are worrying about your capacities. Don't worry about your capacities. Just start, just continue, because there is other people that are just afraid of your full potential. If they are afraid of your full potential, once you continue, once you play and be fully immersed in your job, in your sport, nobody gonna really, everybody gonna scare you. So nobody gonna really feel confident around you. They're gonna be scared. They're gonna be afraid of playing with you because they know that you can beat them. So professional sports psychologists help athletes cope with the intense pressure that comes simply from competition. This often involves finding ways to reduce performance anxiety and combat burnout, as we stated already, the burnout. For the ways, there is first journaling. You are writing in a journal the bad emotions that you have. There is other ways, for example, self-talk, visualization, and self-imagery, the techniques that we talked about earlier and in the first video. So it is common for athletes to get nervous before a game, or even pre-routine game or pre-routine training, performance or competition, but these nerves can have a negative impact on performance. And we're going to talk about how these things negatively impact you on a quantum level. We're going to use in another video quantum physics and its impact on chess, the relationship between your emotions, electrical motions, and sports or life generally. The more you vibrate, the more you increase your vibrations, you increase your energy, the better your performance will be generally and overall in your life. Not just chess or sports, but every other aspect of your life. So tactics that might be the focus of this area of sports psychology includes things like relaxation techniques, changing negative thoughts, as we stated, building self-confidence, and fighting distractions to reduce the focus on anxiety. Distractions is just like focusing solely on the internal stuff, not just your environment or the external stuff, but only your zone, your personal zone. There is three zones usually. There is the first zone, second, and third. First zone includes everything from your environment, from players, from the staff, from the trophy, from money, da. From the second zone, you are concentrating on only small environment, 10 meters to 15 meters. Third zone, you are only focusing on touching the piece and moving the piece. There is no emotions involved. You're just pushing the pawn or playing with the piece, because if emotions get involved, bad things happen, either bad or good. For example, if you are happy, you may be really biased about that emotion, and you can make some bad decisions based on your happiness. You're happy, you're that crazy happy, and you may offer a draw as an example, and you need to win. Or if you are sad or angry, you should only have a draw, but you are playing for a win to compensate for your angriness or to compensate for your sadness, and eventually you lose them both. That life sucks. So burnout can also happen to athletes who frequently experience pressure. Too much pressure because they want to win the trophy. Anxiety, intense practice schedules like you are fighting in a war, helping athletes restore their sense of balance by doing something else, playing another sport, or simply writing, or making funny things and going for a walk. That can help them in reduce the burnout and be happy. Because every single day are doing the same thing, the same sport, the same job, the same stuff, makes you bored, makes you simply burn out. There is nothing else you can do. For example, there is something else you can do. You can just walk and be like I wanted to say the F word. You can be just like F beep crazy and do whatever you want. And the burnout effect will decrease. A long time, of course. Rehabilitation. Another important focus of sports psychology is on helping athletes recover and return to their sport after an injury, believing consciously that you must change your program subconsciously, where you can improve and boost the mechanisms in your body to simply boost the mechanisms and rehabilitate much faster. So if you have an injury, and I had an injury yesterday by playing football in my leg, and I just practiced rehabilitation by myself, practiced mental imagery, visualizing myself, doing some small visualizations about me getting very very soon in getting recovered from that injury. And that helped me simply within small couple hours being healthy and being strong. So I made that happen. And because it was a coincidence, but because it should happen as a rehabilitation process. It's like the placebo effect. So the impacts of sports psychology, usually research indicates that using various sports psychology techniques can help improve the performance of all type of athletes from very young, 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, 13 to some of the top Olympians. Sports psychology, yes, they indicated 8 because there people are consciously aware of their performance. If you already know how to hack the consciousness or the subconscious of your child at the age of 5, that could be really good to let them know about sports psychology. Sports psychology has also has impacts that extend into other areas of wellness. For example, one study noted that it's common for doctors to have negative reactions when treating acutely unwell patients, yet when the doctors used the same psychological routines as athletes, they were able to better control these reactions. It also improved their patient care. There's some psychological maneuvers from a doctor to tell you and to touch you with their hands. This is like a body language sign. When they touch you, it increases the confidence that this doctor gonna help you recover faster. Psychological tricks. Others suggest that sports psychologists can help play an important role in reducing obesity, practically in children. By helping kids increase their physical activity and their enjoyment of the activity, a sports psychologist can help kids achieve and maintain a healthy weight. All this about believing, all this about placebo effects, about making you feel that you worth something, that you have something very valuable. Now, techniques, we're just gonna see them in brief detail. There is progressive relaxation that offers simply better concentration and lower level of anxiety and stress by muscle relaxation. What the relaxation strategies are used, simply progressive muscle relaxation. This technique involves having them tense a group of muscles, hold them tense for a few seconds, and then allow them to relax. Hypnosis, well, not to be recommended because they play around your subconscious tool. Psychologists love to refer to that as a subconscious mind, conscious mind, but just a tool in your mind. There is no such thing as subconscious mind. There is the subconscious and consciousness. You have only one mind that does have two tools. Biofeedback, it's very important. Biofeedback, it was used by AC Milan or Inter Milan, one of them, in the final of Champions League, probably in 2010 or 2011. I don't know exactly the date. They used that to measure the brain waves of their players, so that, for example, if they have the alpha brain waves, we want our players to have the gamma brain waves, which is much more faster, much more concentrated, and improves the performance of players. And once they done that by the biofeedback, they made their players work and play much better, and that helped them win the Champions League. So biofeedback involves using feedback provided by the body to notice how it feels physiologically, blah blah blah, in times of stress, elevated heart rate, tense muscles, etc. So this information can then be used to help control these effects, providing a more positive biological response. One systematic review noted that using heart rate variability biofeedback improved sports performance in more than 85%. So it's very important stuff, not just random BS, random bullshit. Other research supports using biofeedback to reduce an athlete's stress and anxiety, to know his weaknesses, his bad spots, and use them in his own benefit, not against him. Those immoral ones use that against you, but they should use that with the benefits of yours. They should use that for you, not just against you. Cognitive behavioral therapy, simply by talking, to destroy the destructive thoughts and behaviors. Therefore, it is only used and should be used to stand athletes and to help athletes stand from the bad habits that they have and benefits them mentally. One case study involving a 17-year-old female cross-country skier noted that CBT, which is the cognitive behavioral therapy, just a small abbreviation, helped reduce performance anxiety while improving sport-specific behaviors. So another piece of research involved 16 NCAA Division 1, I don't know what is this, with severe injuries, and found that CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, enhanced their emotional well-being during recovery. Becoming a sports psychologist, it's in our topic. If you know sports psychology, if you read books about sports psychology, if you have some knowledge about sports psychology, then yes, you can be a sports psychologist. I don't care about that degree, blah blah blah, that's gonna maintain you and refrain you from becoming something just because of a paper. A word from very well, I don't want to really know that. No, just frequently ask questions. Why is sports psychology important? Sports psychology important is, obviously you must use that to offer athletes some benefits or people in their jobs to improve their performance to a healthier mental recovery after sustaining a physical injury. It's going to help these athletes stay engaged in their sport that they love and offers benefits for non-athletes too, such as, I don't know, helping sick people, helping mentally ill people, helping you from getting out from, work stress work, blah, 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 and brain health to fix the neurological circuits in your brain and fix some prefrontal cortex stuff, prefrontal cortex problems in the occipital lobe and the frontal lobe, the something else. So it reduces the risk of disease, strengthens bones and muscles, and make it easier to maintain a healthy weight. Bones and muscles, not because just like that by coincidence. You mentally believe that that should happen, and you boost the mechanisms of your body and your mind because your mind is linked to your body, and as already stated, your mind is already dictated but what your body says, and your body is simply controlled by your mind and what it does, do and act. So both of them are correlated. And we stated already the example of the golfer who was in prison, and once he got out, he simply played them and outplayed them and won the tournament just by visualizing himself striking the ball. So your mind is linked too much to your brain. Help athletes, we already know that by giving them so many things: motivation, confidence, self-talk, visualization, stress, decline, stuff like that. What you can do with a sports psychology degree, where you can study how can sports psychology improve performance. We already stated that. In some cases, it can reduce anxiety. In others, it works by improving focus or increasing mental toughness. A sports psychologist can help uncover issues that might be limiting the athlete's performance. So the information is then used to determine which psychological techniques can offer the best result. So we covered what should be covered in sports psychology. Not everything, but just some details. I would say up to this point, it just 35 to 40% of the whole topic. And I'll see you soon in another video talking about either nutrition, quantum physics, and chess related topics. So good luck, everybody. And let's see each other in another stream, in another video.